So these two fruit trees were actually from... It's all starting to head up. I mean, look at that. I'm not sure, but for £1, it's worth an experiment, isn't it? It's just looking so healthy, isn't it? Hello and welcome to my allotment plot. It is an absolutely gorgeous day today. The sun is shining and it's not too chilly, so it's really nice to spend some time down here. I'm actually in the fruit cage. You can probably see some shadows on me, and that is actually the net of the fruit cage. So I've got a few things that I'm going to be adding to the fruit cage today. I've got a gooseberry and I've got a currant as well. So at the moment, currently in my fruit cage, I've got a gooseberry right in the corner there, and I've got another currant here. And then if I turn this way, I've got some raspberries along the back here. And then I've got these 3 containers here, which I grew strawberries in last year. And this year I'm going to put carrots in them. And I'm going to be keeping them in here because it's just a good use of space in here. I've got quite a lot of fruit packed in, and that is actually the side where the door is to the fruit cage. So I think it just fits quite nicely, slimline along there. And then I've actually got 2 blueberries, which are in containers. And they're usually in here, but I put them in the polytunnel over winter, and they go just in front of these containers here. So it's pretty packed in here anyway, but I've got those things that I wanted to add to the collection in the fruit cage. So I'm going to put the currant right up against sort of this post here, and then I'm going to put the gooseberry here. So I will have a gooseberry, currant, gooseberry, currant. And then I've got a line of raspberries here, and then yeah, I'm going to have my carrots in here, and I'm going to have my 2 blueberries along here. So I should still be able to walk inside the fruit cage okay and harvest anything that's in here. I'm just going to be using a trowel, and I've got my gloves there as well, because the root ball on these aren't going to be very big. I'm going to dig the hole quite a bit bigger than the root ball, but they're just going to be going straight into the ground. So these 2 fruit trees were actually from the pound shop, so Poundland in the UK. They're actually £2 each. So although it says Poundland, we know hardly anything is a pound anymore. It's usually £2 or £5. But these were just £2 each, and I have used these before, these type of plants. I've got a few things in my garden. I've actually bought a rose from there before that is absolutely huge now. So it is really worth going and looking for these bargains. A lot of supermarkets have them at the moment as well, in these sort of cardboard containers, and they're usually relatively cheap. I actually got my raspberries from Poundland last year. I got a few from Poundland and a few from one of the supermarkets. It might have been Tesco's, and they've all grown really well. So do have a look out for these bargains. So I've got a little bit of compost here that I'm going to put in the hole when I fill these in. I'm going to be quite careful when I fill these in because it's actually mulched in here with wood chip, and I don't want a lot of that getting in to the planting hole. Two more plants added to my fruit cage. It feels so good adding things, and I think it feels so good just getting things in the ground, especially this time of year where we're sort of raring to go, but we've still got a bit of time before spring, haven't we? So it just feels good to get that in the ground. So those two are done. I've also got some horseradish. So at the end of last year, I think it might have actually been Christmas Eve or the day before, I came down and I harvested loads of horseradish. This was a piece of it that I didn't use. So although I did leave some in the container, so I was growing it in this container here, this white one, although I did leave some in there and that will just regrow, I'm just going to add this back in there because otherwise it's just going to go to waste. Job done. It's so nice getting these little bits done. I've got a little experiment I want to do actually in the polytunnel, and I'm just going to give it a go. So I bought these dahlias for £1 from the pound shop, and I think I want to plant them in the polytunnel. And right here in this area here where my blueberry plants are at the moment, this has got my grapevine growing up here, and I'm thinking this is a little bit of wasted space here. So I was thinking of planting some dahlia tubers just underneath there, under where the grapevine is, and seeing if they would just be a nice addition to the polytunnel, and they may come back every year. I'm not sure, but for £1 it's worth an experiment, isn't it? And look, I found where all the slugs have been hiding. So I've had quite a bit of damage on some of my leaves, especially my broccoli leaves at the end over there. And I have not known where all the slugs are because I never see them, but look, they were hiding underneath my pots. I think that'll look really nice if just under that grapevine in that middle bit there, if there is some nice dahlias there. So hopefully that works. I'm not going to water them because the ground is actually quite wet and I don't want them to rot because it is still only February, so it's quite early to be planting dahlias out. But that is my experiment because we're in the polytunnel. Anything's possible in the polytunnel, as we know. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a update on everything that's going on at the plot at the moment. So right at the front of the plot here on the corner is where I put my onion sets, and if you look in there, put you right up against the netting, they're all looking good. I think this netting's actually given them quite a bit of protection, so I'm quite glad about that. So these beds here, I think I'm going to have my courgettes and pumpkins and things in this year, and I'm going to grow my climbing French beans up this side of the arch, and then this side of the arch I think I'm going to have my peas along here, my climbing peas. Got strawberries in here, and then I'll put something in the middle. I'm thinking perhaps the dwarf peas that I've sown, they would be quite good in there. So that's my plan for the front. And the other side, if I spin round that bed right in the corner there, this one here, this has got the asparagus in it. So this is the first year. I know I talk about this every single time I talk about asparagus beds, but it's the first year I'm going to be able to harvest out of that bed, so I'm really, really excited. I think I'm going to put my broad beans in this one here. That's asparagus in that one in the corner as well, but that's only been in 1 year, so I've got a couple of years before I can do anything with that, but hopefully that will grow along nicely. So then I've got these 3 beds here and this one here where I haven't got sturdy plans for, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to be putting in them at the moment. I definitely need somewhere for swede and parsnips and some bits like that, so potentially, but I need to make a sort of plan now about what I'm actually going to be growing this year and where it's going to be going, but I've got some vague ideas. So the strawberries here are looking really good, so I've got strawberries planted in this bed and they're actually starting to look really lush and green. And then this bed here is my rhubarb. Can you see it is really starting to come out now? And this one as well. They were the first things I ever planted on the plot, so they're really special to me actually, these rhubarb crowns, and this is the happiest they've ever been. So for those of you that have watched me since the beginning, or you've followed me for, you know, for an amount of time, you'll know that I've moved them a few times because they just never have been happy, but they seem to be really happy in this position. And last year they put on huge growth and I harvested a lot of rhubarb. Actually, a lot of it's still in my freezer now, but I'm just really happy that they're doing really well. I don't know if you can tell that I'm pleased. Mini polytunnel, purple sprout and broccoli, all looking fantastic. This is all looking really lush and nice, really healthy looking. And I've got garlic planted in there as well. This side I'm definitely going to have my dwarf peas. So as soon as they're sort of ready to plant out, they're going to be going in here because they don't grow very high. So I'm excited about that as well. I've not done peas in the mini polytunnel before, so it's going to be a little bit of an experiment. And then when these come out this side, the purple sprout and broccoli, that's where I'm going to have my tomatoes. So I'm going to have some cherry tomatoes in there and probably a few salad tomatoes as well. The polytunnel is looking fantastic. So the 2 blueberry plants here, I think I might actually plant them into bigger containers this year, and then they will be going, like I said, just in front of these containers here where the carrots are going to be going. This side I'm going to have my cucumbers right along here, and then this side is going to be more tomatoes. But at the moment I've got some kale here, which, look at that, that is just looking so healthy, isn't it? I'm so pleased with this. So I've got kale, they're all looking really good. I've got spring greens, a little bit of slug damage, not too bad, all interplanted with garlic. This side I've got spring greens. This has had quite a bit of damage actually over the last week or so from slugs, interplanted with garlic, and then my broccoli, which you can see is all starting to head up really, really nicely. But again, I've got some slug damage on some of the leaves, so they're definitely starting to come out a bit more. I weeded this whole area last week and there's some more seedlings coming up, but it's so easy once you keep on top of it to just pull them out and just keep on top of it that way, just sort of like as they start coming up. I'm really pleased with that. I'm going to be doing an experiment and planting some parsnips. I know they get quite big, like the leaves get quite big, but I'm going to try and plant them like as far towards the back there. Probably just do it on one side. I'll probably just do it there. A little bit of an experiment to see if they do okay in the polytunnel. But I think it'll be quite easy for them to germinate in here because it keeps quite moist in here, but you've got the heat as well. So I'm going to try that. I'm actually probably going to do that next week. I'm going to sow some seeds along there, so watch this space. I've got strawberries planted all the way on the outside of my mini polytunnel and they're looking really good actually. Pond needs a bit of TLC. Look at my thyme though. Look how amazing that looks. So pretty. In that watering can, that has rooted right the way into that watering can. You cannot move that now. I think that looks really, really stunning. Love that. I've got another watering can here and I think I'm going to do the same. I'm going to plant something in that. I think there is a hole at the bottom, but it seems to be holding its water, so a bit of investigation on that one. My new water container is filling up nicely with water. This is the guttering Vince and I installed a couple of weeks ago. I'm so pleased that that's done. And then right at the very back of the plot, right here, I've got my raspberries, but I need to tidy this area up. So I cut down all the canes. They're autumn fruiting ones, so I cut all those down, but it needs a really good tidy up in here. It's got all the canes I took off just lying on top, so I need to do a bit of upkeep on that as well. But I've got a couple of weeks to sort of do these little jobs. I need to top up a little bit of wood chip in places, but we haven't had a delivery of wood chip on the allotment for a while, so I'm just waiting for that. But to be honest, if you look here, it's absolutely fine. It doesn't really need a lot of it. I mean, there's a few bits of grass I can pull up. Oh, look how exciting. I think these are my snowdrops. I'm sure that's where I planted snowdrops. I think I planted them this side as well, yeah. Oh, that's exciting. That's a sign of spring, isn't it, when the snowdrops start coming up? So anyway, yeah, there's a few bits here. I could probably just pull that grass up. In fact, I'm going to do that now. So I started off weeding right up here and I ended up weeding down here. So I sort of did from sort of like this bit here all the way down here. I did this bit here and all up there, and I did this bit. So that's all of the weeds I've just pulled out. Well, I say weeds, grass, and this bit. So I just need to do that little patch there, but I've sort of made a bit of a dent in it. So come home with me because I've got something really exciting to show you. Okay, so I'm back home and I'm next to my milk jugs that I started off a good couple of weeks ago now. I have been adding to it, but I wanted to show you something really, really exciting. So a few of them, the seedlings are really starting to come along. I mean, look at that. So I did a lot of the vegetables, like the cold weather crops, and I did a basil as well actually, so I'm not sure how that one's going to turn out, but I did a lot of like my vegetables a few weeks ago, and I've been added to it as I've been getting milk jugs. I've been adding, so I've got some salvia, I've got forget-me-nots, I've got cosmos, I've got, what else did I do? Marigolds. I've just been adding things as and when I've got the milk cartons. But it's just so exciting. Like if I look in here in the chives, I don't know if you can see that, the camera might not pick that up, but they're just starting to come out. So I just think that's really, really positive, because that was just a complete experiment this year, because I've never done it before, but I just wanted to try it. But seeing that they've already germinated and they're already starting to grow in literally the middle of winter in these temperatures is just absolutely amazing. So that's the latest update from them. I will just keep adding to them. I've got so many flower seeds as I went through my seeds last week, and there's so many flowers that I thought, these packets just a year on year just being added to, I might as well just pop them in the bottom of a milk carton and see how they do. If they do well, I can get them planted out. Hope you've enjoyed being with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon.